Welcome. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that, well, it really touches all of our lives, whether we realize it fully or not. We're talking about navigating this really complex landscape of fake news and this whole misinformation epidemic. Now, this whole analysis, it's based on a stack of sources. We've gathered articles, research, our notes, and we've tried to pull out the key insights for you. Our mission really is to get a handle on what fake news actually is, how it spreads so incredibly fast, why we as people seem so susceptible to it, and maybe most importantly, what strategies are actually out there to fight back. There was this one stat in the sources that just jumped out at me. Apparently in 2025, something like 62% of online content could be false. And get this, 86% of people globally are exposed to misinformation. That's huge. Makes you wonder where to even start, right? Okay, so to really get into this, maybe we first need to pin down what we mean by fake news, because it feels like it's more than just, stuff that isn't true. What did you find was sort of the core idea?
Right. Well, it's interesting because fake news isn't just a casual phrase. It's specifically about false or misleading information that's presented like it's genuine news. And the real kicker isn't just that it's false, it's how good it is at looking like the real deal. It uses formats we trust to kind of sneak past our critical thinking. And often it's made with a specific goal, maybe to deceive or influence opinions, or sometimes just to get clicks and make money. And the speed, it just spreads so fast, causing a lot of confusion, sometimes real harm.
Looking like the real deal. That's a really key point and kind of scary when you think about it. So what forms does it take? What are the different disguises?
Exactly. And yeah, it comes in several flavors. First, you've got just fabricated stories. These are completely made up. Zero basis, in fact. Pure fiction pretending to be news. Then there are misleading headlines. The headline might be super sensational or exaggerated, twisting the truth of the story underneath, which might even have some facts in it. A really growing area, and our sources definitely flag this, is deepfakes and manipulated media. We're talking AI-generated fake images, videos, audio. There was a report in 2023. It found over 96% of deepfake content online was actually hosted on YouTube.
96% on YouTube, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty alarming. It suggests it's become a major hub for that kind of thing. Then, of course, there's satire and parody. Think sites like The Onion. It's meant to be funny, but sometimes people mistake it for actual news, which can be a problem. And finally, you have biased or selective reporting. This is where facts are presented, in a way that pushes a certain viewpoint, maybe by leaving out important context.
Okay, that's quite a range. So for us trying to sort the real from the fake in our feeds every day, what are some practical tips? Maybe some surprising ones? Because honestly, it feels exhausting sometimes.
It absolutely can be. But there are things you can do to build up that mental filter. Always check the source. Is it a news outlet you recognize and trust? Or some site you've never heard of? Look for actual evidence in the story. Are there named experts quoted? Or just vague claims? Cross-check it. See if other reliable news organizations are reporting the same thing. If nobody else is covering a huge story, that's a bit of a red flag. Check the date. This is a simple one, but easy to miss. Old news gets reshared out of context all the time and can seem like it's happening now. And maybe the biggest one. Watch out for emotional manipulation. Fake news often tries to make you angry or scared. If something makes you instantly furious, pause. Take a breath. Scrutinize it. It might be designed specifically to provoke that reaction, not to inform you.
That emotional trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really resonates. Okay, so it's one thing for this stuff to exist. But why does it spread like wildfire online? What's going on, especially on social media, that makes it move so fast?
That's where the very design of these platforms comes into it. It really boils down to the algorithms. These platforms are built to prioritize content that gets engagement, clicks, shares, comments. And unfortunately, what gets engagement? Often it's sensationalism, maybe conspiracy theories, things that provoke a strong reaction. The sources we looked at showed false stories spreading like 6 times faster than true ones on platforms like Twitter.
6 times? That's incredible.
It is. And then you've got the monetization incentives. People can actually make money from viral fake news using clickbait. Like during the 2024 U.S. election, some fabricated stories pulled in 8.7 million engagements. They actually did better than some real news. And all this feeds into echo chambers, right? The algorithms show you more of what you already seem to like or believe.
Trapping you in that filter bubble.
Exactly. You end up in this space where you rarely see different viewpoints, making it really hard to challenge your own assumptions.
And you mentioned YouTube before with deepfakes. Is it like a central pipeline for misinformation generally?
It certainly seems to be a major player. Yeah. Fact checkers from like Over 40 countries have called it out. They've labeled it a major conduit of online disinformation and misinformation worldwide. Over 80 fact-checking groups went so far as to say YouTube is being weaponized by people trying to spread bad information.
Yeah.
And the scale is just huge. One study found 84% of misinformation videos that got reported were still on YouTube more than 48 hours later, plenty of time to spread. Back in 2020, during the pandemic, about 25% of the most watched COVID videos had misleading claims in them. They got something like 62 million views.
62 million views for misleading stuff.
Yeah. And part of the problem is just the sheer volume. People upload 500 hours of video every minute. How can moderation possibly keep up with that flood?
It sounds like a losing battle for the platform sometimes. But what about us, the users? Why are we so receptive? Why do people believe and share this stuff even when there are facts out there?
Now we're getting into the human side of it. And it's complex. It's a mix of psychology, social factors, emotions. Our own brains kind of work against us sometimes. We have these cognitive biases, like confirmation bias. We naturally tend to look for and believe information that fits with what we already think, and we tend to dismiss stuff that contradicts our views.
Right, that makes sense. We like to be right.
Exactly. Then there's the illusory truth effect. Basically, the more times you hear a false claim, even if you know it's been debunked, the more familiar and, well, true it starts to feel over time. Repetition makes it seem plausible. And maybe the most frustrating one is the backfire effect. Sometimes when you show people facts that directly challenge a belief, they hold really strongly. Instead of changing their mind, they actually dig their heels in even deeper on the misinformation. It's counterintuitive, but it happens.
Wow. So trying to correct people can actually make it worse sometimes.
It can, yeah. It's like these mental shortcuts our brains developed to handle information overload are now being exploited in the online world. We become unknowing helpers in spreading bad info.
That's a really powerful way to put it. Makes you think. Are there other things making us vulnerable besides these biases?
Oh, definitely. We touched on emotional triggers, fear, anger. They bypass rational thought. That 2025 study finding angry users are 50% more likely to spread misinformation. That's huge. Outrage, tribalism, thinking in terms of us versus them, makes us less critical of information that supports our side. Then there's the whole distrust in institutions. Lots of people don't trust mainstream media or maybe scientific sources anymore. Past scandals, perceived bias, it pushes them towards alternative explanations, which are often, false.
Okay, so they're looking for answers elsewhere.
Right. And finally, there's just a general lack of media literacy. Many people haven't really learned strong fact-checking habits. Plus, with deepfakes getting better and just the sheer amount of information flying at us, trying to critically evaluate everything is just exhausting. Our sources also point to something called problematic social media users, or PSMU. These are folks with certain high-risk online habits. They're apparently 3 times more likely to believe and share fake news. And this PSMU behavior correlates directly with engaging more with fake news.
Interesting. And you mentioned only 30% of Americans feel confident they can spot fake news. That's not a great number.
No, it really isn't. It shows how widespread the challenge is.
So with all this going on, what's the actual tangible damage? What are the real-world consequences of all this misinformation swirling around? It's not just online arguments, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. The consequences are very real and sometimes devastating. Think about health. Misinformation has genuinely led to avoidable deaths. People refusing effective vaccines because of false claims or trying unproven dangerous cures promoted by groups like Doctors for the Truth. During COVID, those top-viewed YouTube videos spreading false cures, that has real impact. Then there's politics. Fake stories about election fraud, like the claims around the 2020 U.S. election, or deepfake propaganda. These have been linked to actual social unrest. And trust. 70% of Americans say fake news has damaged their trust in government. That's a huge hit to democracy.
Yeah, that erosion of trust is massive.
And it even costs money. Globally, fake news-related fraud is estimated to cost around $78 billion a year. Financial scams pushed on platforms like YouTube cost Americans $3.7 billion in losses just in 2022. It hits our health, our democracy, and our wallets.
That paints a pretty bleak picture. So, okay, let's pivot to solutions. What can actually be done? What's being tried? And, what chance does good, accurate information even have in this environment?
It's definitely a multi-front battle. There's no single silver bullet. On the personal level, it really comes down to individual action. We all need to cultivate that habit. Pause before you share. Think critically. Use those fact-checking sites. Snopes, factcheck.org, PolitiFact, NewsGuard, maybe Invid for videos. And talk to people. Gently educate friends and family if you see them sharing something dubious.
Then you have the platform efforts. YouTube, for instance, does have policies against harmful misinformation, like banning stuff about vaccine falsehoods. They use AI detection like Content ID and machine learning.
But you said earlier they struggled to keep up. Even with AI, why is that still such a challenge if they're investing so much?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, critics point out these AI systems often struggle with nuances. They're not great with non-English content, for example. And they have trouble with what's called borderline misinformation stuff that's sneaky and deceptive but doesn't maybe break a specific rule outright. And while they partner with fact-checkers, places like India, Nigeria, the Philippines, they're often underserved. There are big gaps in global coverage. Okay, so platform efforts are patchy. What else?
Well, people are developing new technological solutions. There are AI tools being worked on, like Smooth Detector from Concordia University. The idea is they analyze everything, text, images, even the tone to try and flag fakes automatically. It's still developing, but it's promising. Beyond tech, there are broader strategies, like improving critical thinking training. The EU is pushing this in schools. But again, that 30% confidence number in the US shows we have a long way to go. There's also a push for more algorithmic transparency from the platforms, making them explain how they decide what we see. Promoting trusted, nonpartisan fact-checkers is key, too. And this interesting idea of psychological inoculation.
A mental vaccine, you mentioned that earlier. How does that work?
Yeah, basically you pre-warn people about the common tactics used in misinformation before they encounter them. So when they see, say, an emotional appeal or a scapegoating argument, they recognize it as a manipulation technique. It helps build resistance.
Huh. I like that idea. Pre-bunking instead of just debunking. So given all this, the algorithms, the biases, the challenges, what about accurate information? Can it still win? Can channels focused on truth find an audience?
It's definitely not a lost cause. It's absolutely an uphill climb, though. YouTube's core design, yet still often rewards engagement over pure accuracy. But a channel dedicated to accurate info can succeed, especially if it finds its niche, maybe science or policy, something specific. The key seem to be things like good SEO so people can find you, being really consistent, being totally transparent about your sources, and crucially, building genuine trust with your audience over time. That takes effort. Collaborating with established fact-checking groups can also boost credibility and reach. It's really about creating these islands of reliability in a very noisy ocean.
Okay, so we've really dug into how this deceptive content spreads, why we're kind of wired to fall for it sometimes, and the serious dangers it poses to our health, our politics, our finances.
Yeah, and I guess it leaves us with a thought, maybe a challenging one. The source material mentioned, truth is rarely pure, never simple. In a world where maybe 93% of viral videos have some AI manipulation, and platform algorithms are often built for engagement, not necessarily truth. What responsibility do you, the listener, feel we each have to demand more transparency from these platforms and to actively champion solid, verifiable information over just what goes viral?
That's a powerful question to leave everyone with. It really puts the onus back on all of us. So maybe the takeaway today is act on these insights, pause before you hit share, support journalism you trust, and maybe, just maybe, advocate for reforms that push platforms towards prioritizing accuracy.